Are you a parent who's not sure if you can say no to your child? This reel is for you. We were raised in a relationship driven culture where an elder would decide for the whole family, and then there was no negotiation beyond that. This rigid decision making usually left children dejected, left out, feeling left out, rejected, and we decided that when we become parents, we will ensure that our children never have to be put through something like this. It's a very unhealthy extreme. So let me give you the context. Why is it that we refuse to say no to our children? One, because we don't know how to deal with the sense of disappointment our child may feel. Two, we don't know how to deal with the complex set of emotions they may experience when we say no. Three, more importantly, we don't know how to deal with the tantrums that may come up if we say no. Let's understand, as parents, why is it we're afraid to say no? There are four essential reasons. One is because we experience a lot of guilt and often self-doubt because we don't know if it's the right way to go forward. Two is because of peer pressure. If you notice, there are a lot of societal expectations of how a great parent should be. And we usually have in our group one person who seems to have absolutely no problem with parenting. Usually, when they share their highlight reels, we don't know how to go forward because they seem to be painting a perfect picture of how well parenting is working for them. Please remember, parenting is not a set of tips and tricks. It's always about building a relationship, and only you will be able to build that with your child. No other form of guidance or someone else's success stories will work in your story. The third reason why as parents we are scared to say no to our children is because we lack the emotional regulation required. Very often as parents we don't know how to regulate our own emotions, especially when the child expresses displeasure around an action of ours, and usually that is when we've said no to something that they've asked for or that they've done. Fourth and more important is that we don't know how to set the two-way communication process that is essential when we need to set boundaries and when we need to communicate a no to someone. When we say no, we prepare children for four important situations. One, it helps them deal with small disappointments in life. There will be many experiences in life where we have to deal with a little bit of disappointment, or we have to deal with the repercussions or the consequences of having made a mistake. In those situations, if children have experienced a healthy no, a failure or a disappointment is often seen as an opportunity where they can change their actions or approach it differently to be able to succeed. The second reason, to build resilience and to build character, small setbacks are always required. To build a very, very resilient person, a small level of disappointment is extremely important. And therefore, when we are indulgent and do not help our children to access the no from us, we raise weaklings who don't know how to rise up after a fall. If you've heard of the marshmallow experiment, you know that people who make it in life have had this ability to handle delayed gratification. When we use no in our parenting, we actually develop the ability of children to deal with gratification. They move from impulsive instant gratification to delayed gratification, which is a great predictor for long-term success. The most important reason for saying no is, of course, safety and well-being. Recently, a pediatrician friend of mine was sharing a disturbing incident of a young child who was refusing vaccination because she did not want to experience the pain. Yes, children experience a little bit of discomfort and anxiety around most medical procedures. A supportive, regulated parent is usually required there in that situation to help the child understand that this is for his or her well-being. However, the parent was more dysregulated than the child, and therefore the whole medical team struggled for several hours before the parent decided that it's better not to vaccinate the child and took the child home. Though this is an extreme example, I can quote many examples where, including in a school setting, the child refuses to sit in a particular classroom or to adjust with a particular teacher, refuses to come to school, and the parents think that it's not their responsibility to bring in that sense of discipline. It's very important for us to understand that in the long run, the no helps children to develop the limits, the structure, and the discipline required for long-term success in life. The rules are very simple. Number one, be very clear in your mind what you want to achieve. And once you have that mental clarity, communicate the no To aid this process, make sure that your routines and structures at home are more predictable. When routines are predictable, the no has a better chance of being successful. Secondly, be prepared for the tantrum. When you set a limit, there will always be a challenge. And therefore, as a parent, when you set boundaries and limits, your children will test that limit or boundary with a tantrum, and usually they will attack you where it hurts you most by telling you things like, I hate you, you're the worst mother, worst father. Please understand that these are all ways in which they will test your limits. The third and the most important aspect of setting boundaries and saying no is to be consistent. A no means no. Many times I've noticed that when there is a tantrum, the parent lets go once and then they think we'll do it next time. Every time you let go, the next time becomes tougher. Therefore, the simplest way in working with the no, clarity, be clear. Second, be prepared for the tantrum or the testing of limits. And three, most important, stay consistent. It takes time. Anything good takes time to build, especially when it's so deeply culturally rooted. Once you are clear, once you are prepared, and once you are consistent, children also know that you are very predictable. Once you are predictable, the relationship naturally eases into a trusting space where two-way communication becomes possible. When this happens, the disappointments, the rejections, etc., will be minimal because there is scope for communication. I hope this was useful.